My fellow messenger marketeers, welcome to my presentation on 9 messenger mistakes that make you lose customers and alienate users. So this is me. Nice to meet you. My name is Pascal. I'm the marketing lead at Userlike, and we are Germany's leading live chat solution for websites and messaging apps. And besides that, I am also a proud father of a 2-year-old son. And it always blows my mind to think that he will be growing up in a 100% digitalized world as a so-called digital native. I do hope I can keep him from owning any sort of mobile device for any time soon. But it's definitely sure that all this connectivity will be all he knows. And that was very different for me. And I suppose that it was also very different for you and most of the people in the audience. We are the generation that consciously witnessed the internet revolution. I actually remember when I first started to actively use email. I was like around 9 years old, and my elementary school teacher told us that we should create an email address to explore this new technology. And I was mostly just using it to send around hilarious videos to other classmates, like this one. I wonder whether anybody else remembers this video. Maybe it could be, of course, that it was only a thing in elementary school Holland. But as a society, we had to actually learn how to use that email technology in a useful way. And we had to also develop the whole etiquette around email communication. Likewise, when mobile messaging came around, first through SMS and then through messaging apps, there were at the beginning no norms yet. Like, we had to develop those. For example, we had to learn that messaging is a good channel for things like coordinating appointments, but that it's not a good channel for things like breaking up a relationship or to pass on any other type of highly emotionally loaded messages. Why am I talking about emails and breakup messages and showing a PM monkey? Well, when it comes to messenger marketing, so using messaging apps for customer communication, I believe that we are in a similar situation as the 90s. It's a new field, and we are just starting to figure out how to make use of this technology. And this means that mistakes are unavoidable. In my work at Userlike, I get to see these mistakes. So me and our team, we get to see many companies implementing customer communication through messaging. And our support team always tries to guide these businesses in implementing these new channels. Because oftentimes for these businesses, they are totally new ways of communicating. They are maybe used to email support, email communication, but communicating with their customers through messaging apps is something totally new to them. They try to help them avoid the pitfalls, basically. And I'm a big fan of inversion, so instead of looking at all the things that you should do, to make sure to avoid the things you shouldn't do. So that's basically what I would like to do today, to take a look at the major don'ts, basically, of messenger marketing. All right, so let's start with mistake number 1. Expect them to come. So what many businesses don't realize at first is that when you open up these new messaging channels, customers won't just start coming in. It takes active promotion and or prioritization. So promotion can be done through, for example, like a newsletter announcement. You can make use of these messaging advertising options on Facebook and Instagram. You can integrate your QR codes into commercials and these types of things. But I actually think that the biggest potential for most companies is not in promotion, but in prioritization of these new channels. So we know that messaging is the most convenient channels basically for everyone involved. So it makes sense to then actively prioritize them over more traditional channels like phone and email. But most companies don't actually do this, we find. So most companies, when they get started with messaging, they just add it to their existing mix of communication channels. So maybe first to quickly explain why messaging is so convenient for both customers and businesses. So for customers, it's by far the most convenient channels because it's fully aligned with their existing behavior. With that I mean that everybody is already opening their messaging apps dozens of times per day. There was actually an interesting touchpoint research by CX Act, which dove into the question of why do customers choose which channel, and they found that it was a combination. So the first was like the ease of getting in touch and the expectation of how fast the issue would be resolved over that channel. So when we look at the standard contact channels, we see that email has a very low first resolve ratio. That's basically because mostly to resolve an issue, it takes some back and forth communication, and with email there's always a big delay. Then phone, many people find annoying because it often forces you to wait in a queue. But at least when you phone a company, you know that you can kind of force through an answer and get a resolution on that same day. And then when we look at messaging, it combines the best of both worlds. So it can function in real time like a phone, but it also can function like an email. And of course, for the business, like there's this messaging has this big potential for automation through chatbots and efficiency. It has like efficiency options like sending canned messages, and also because conversations can be live as well as offline, service peaks are less of an issue. So this avoids the high cost of a real-time service team. So oftentimes we have businesses coming to us, and they come to us with the asking with the following situation, that they are thinking about offering messaging as a support channel, and they ask whether it will drive down calls, because many companies are looking to drive down phone calls because these are super expensive. They're hard to manage, and they often frustrate people. Frustrate customers, also employees, because it's just tiring. But to this question, like whether it will drive down calls, we have to say like it might drive down calls a bit, but if you just add it as a side channel, it won't drive it a lot. But if you clearly prioritize these channels, the effects can be huge. So basically that means like being deliberate about your choice architecture that you offer in your communication. For example, there are companies that actually get rid of their phone altogether, or of their email options altogether. So there are companies like Vistia, for example, did this, and Squarespace as well, because they realized that in order to offer cost-efficient support, they couldn't support phone. You don't have to go that far. You can also maybe just hide it deeper in your website or in your communication. So make sure that people have to look for it and prioritize your messaging channels. All right, then mistake number 2. Offer only one messaging channel. So when you talk about messenger marketing, people tend to think of WhatsApp and maybe Facebook Messenger, but there are many other messaging apps out there that deserve your attention. So in Germany, Telegram, for example, it has over 8 million users, and Threema has over 6 million users, and Signal has over 3 million users. And especially these messengers that are interesting because they are, in some ways, they're built up around the issue of data privacy. And they connect to this growing awareness around this topic. And also we see that the emotions around this topic are actually starting to run quite high. So it makes sense to offer such secure channels as well to your more data privacy conscious customers. So actually WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, and it is secure to use, but because it is owned by Facebook, it has this, it has a bit of a dent in the image due to that reason. And then there are also specific products and use cases that demand for extra security, like pharmacies. We are actually currently developing a new messaging channel with Threema, which is it's a Swiss messenger, and it's all about data security. And many of their customers are from the healthcare industry, where data privacy is very important. And then finally, also, if your business extends beyond Germany or beyond Europe, there are many other messengers to take into account. So in China you have WeChat, for example. In Japan you have Line, and then there's Viber from Israel. There are many different messaging apps out there that you should consider. Mistake number 3: no human escalation path. So automation can be great, not just great for the company, because we find that most customers are also like it. In reality, what people care most about is getting their issues or their questions resolved as quickly as possible. So chatbots are fast. If anything, they are fast. So if they can do the job, why not? And we saw this reflected in a chatbot perception survey that we ran last year. In this survey, we asked 400 people about how they thought about using a chatbot for support. And few people actually objected talking to a chatbot as long as they would have the option of being forwarded to a service employee afterwards. So first talking to the chatbot, but if it looks like the chatbot cannot help them, that they always have the option. So that's crucial, that a chatbot experience basically goes from nice to frustrating when the chatbot does not offer a way to escalate to a human being. So when they don't offer a way, then what you tend to see is that a chatbot kind of keeps trying, and it comes to so-called conversational dead ends. So that's a very important one. Then mistake number 4: send a chatbot to do a human's job. So there are also some topics that the chatbots are just not a good fit for. One of these is just in general edge cases. So it's impossible to cover all possible questions with a chatbot, to automate all possible questions. So it's better to not try. So you should aim kind of for like the Pareto principle, to aim for 20% of the type of questions, and those cover 80% of the volume. And even that will take a long time to build up, but that's a good aim. And then there are also specific topics that by their nature are not a good fit for chatbots. And this was also something that we dove into with the survey that we ran. So we asked about different scenarios and the likeliness or willingness of people to use a chatbot for those scenarios. And like the least popular ones were complaints, so making complaint. So probably here people, when they want to make a complaint, they're either looking for some empathy or at least for something that their anger resonates, right? And a machine does not do this. Then another one was resolving an issue about an order. So in such a case, of course, there's a big likelihood that the system already made a mistake. So it makes sense to get in touch with a human being and not with another part of the system, so to say. And then the other is like making a purchase and paying a bill. I guess that's interesting, very interesting for the audience today, that people are not actually into that to do that through a chatbot. I guess it has to do a lot with the sensitive information, like billing information, that people might think that it takes to make such a purchase. So these are all sensitive issues in one way or another, and chatbots are not a good fit for them. Then mistake number 5, bad messaging forms. Most people know what a professional email is or looks like, and they also know how to put on a professional telephone voice, but most people have no idea what professionalism looks like when it comes to messaging. Messaging has, of course, so far been used almost exclusively for private communication. So this means that you will mostly know the people on the other side, and they know you, and nobody is too harsh about etiquette. But in a professional messaging setting, many just don't know really how to behave. So they're not sure whether they can send emojis, or can they laugh, or should they send messages kind of like as if they were speaking, or more in an email style. So oftentimes also, oftentimes also it's support teams, at least with our customers, it's the support teams that take over this new channel, and we kind of see them treating it as if it were just emails through a new channel. And unfortunately, this really makes you lose many of the benefits that messaging has to offer, like liveliness, quick back and forth, more personality, also more sales power. So the nice thing about messaging, though, is that it's very easy to follow the customer's lead. So you can kind of mirror their communication style. But we always recommend then to do that with a positive topspin. And to get specific about the question, like, can you use emoji? We always say yes, and you should, because emoji are really a great way to, for communicating emotions and also kind of positive energy. Of course, always only do positive emoji. And it is important to use them with moderation. So just to stick to the basics. So avoid, Eiffel Towers, eggplants, all the esoteric emojis out there. And then here is an example of a chatbot with some, what we would say, rather bad messaging forms. It's Jamie Oliver's recipe bot. Although the concept is nice, of course, of a recipe bot, but just in the messaging there are way too many emoji here, and also just frankly there are too many messages at once. So there's sort of like an information overload, and also it's a bit too promotional. So he's throwing in right away some advertising for his new book. So that's just too much. Mistake number 6, singular chatbots. So just to explain a bit here, there are roughly 2 types of chatbots out there. So you have decision-based chatbots and keyword-based chatbots. And the tree-based ones offer, you probably know them, like they offer a few buttons that you can click from. And then when you make a choice, then you have a follow-up question with some more buttons. So it's basically following a decision tree. And keyword-based chatbots, they work on the basis of word recognition. So basically they recognize the words used by the customers, and then these trigger a certain response. So the advantage of these tree-based chatbots is guidance. So to make an analogy, it is actually possible to control a computer purely through command input. But this this code-based approach doesn't work for like 99% of the people. Like we need a nice infrastructure, a nice operating system to use our computers. And a purely keyword-based chatbot is like a computer that only works on direct command input. So I wouldn't recommend it. It's not the same also as if you were talking to a human, because AI is simply not at that level yet. So the disadvantage of the tree-based approach, however, is that you can only show a few buttons within a messaging interface. So you can maybe only cover the 3 to 7 most common topics. And that's why you need a combination of decision trees and keyword-based chatbots. So chatbots should not be singular. So your chatbot should cover the most common topics with a decision tree. So like with a question like, do you want any of these options? But also offer to, for you to alternatively type in your question and then work on the basis of keyword recognition. And one of the standard options, by the way, from the decision tree should always be to escalate to a human to a human support agent. So here, this Rita bot is a pretty good example of a bad example here. So this is, for example, Rita bot is purely keyword based, and therefore it just doesn't work. So in this case, probably it recognizes a few keywords from the customer. So something like resolved and great, it spots, but it seems like it doesn't understand negative phrasings. So the Rita bot thinks it's all good. But here, to combine the answers from the Rita bot with a simple tree-based option. So, for example, asking whether this article solved their answer, yes or no, that would fix it right away, and it would make the chatbot 10 times more useful. All right, mistake number 7, overly promotional chatbots. So we know that chatbots can be great for things like generating leads or pointing towards offers and these type of things. And it's also why many of our customers implement them on their landing pages for these types of reasons. But it's important to remember that the initiative basically always needs to come from the customer. So there are a few things that are like off-putting as much as an overly promotional chatbot. So this drift bot, for example, to me it really comes across as too promotional. So there can be many reasons for me to be on their website, but by making it all about their commercial offerings, they make me want to leave. So it would be much better, for example, here to offer a few common questions that they could help answer. So it's good to keep in mind to be helpful and not pushy, and then sales will come by itself. Especially in an online setting, it works like this. Like you cannot force people into a sale, basically. All right, mistake number 8, forgetting about service times. So on messengers, we are, of course, all used to speed, but it's important as a business to define behavior, let's say, and to create the right expectations depending on your service times. So when it's necessary for a human support rep to get back to a customer, your automated messaging should explain the customer how long they can expect to wait. And also during service times, maybe you only want to offer human communication and you only want to activate your chatbots once they sign off, once your human support reps sign off. That's why it's important to make use of a professional support solution that can actually define these different behaviors and communication styles depending on your support times. Mistake number 9, uncanny chatbots. So you might be familiar with the uncanny valley theory of robotics. If you're not, then yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic to read up on. But basically, what it comes down to is that the theory argues that people like and accept robots as long as they clearly look like robots. So you can think of Wall-E from Disney or Star Wars R2D2. So those are clear robots, and it makes them cute and nice. But as soon as they start to look a lot like humans, but not quite, that's when they freak us out. So the humanoid robot Sophia here, shown here, is a good example. It's just a bit freaky because it doesn't look like a robot anymore, but it's also obviously not a human. And that kind of extends to messenger marketing as well. So we are definitely not at the point yet where we can create realistic human-like chatbots, and to actually try to make them so that has like a freak effect on your customers. So first off, you should always make it crystal clear to your customers whether they are talking with a chatbot or with a human support rep. And when it is a chatbot, you should also be as clear as possible about the limitations of the chatbot. So my personal favorite type of bots are the ones that have kind of like a silly, helpful personality that approach it with like, I try to help you, but I'm just a bot. So if I don't follow you anymore, I will forward you to one of my human colleagues. And then, yeah, people know what to expect. All right, so that's all. Of course, these are not all the possible mistakes that you can make in messenger marketing, but these are the top ones that we often tend to see pop up. And yeah, I hope this is a helpful starting point for you to get started with customer messaging. And yeah, if you like to connect, I would be very happy and honored to do so. Just find me on LinkedIn or send me an email. And I wish all of you a very nice day. Bye-bye.